So this morning I was out on my jog slash walk slash jog slash walk. I go back and forth. I was listening to the Piano Guy's performance of the song Let It Go from the movie Let It Go. And it happens to be one of my favorite musical pieces. And I've thought a lot about this song and the lyrics and the setting and what it means. And I've struggled with it because my initial response was, okay, here's a gal who is simply rejecting all rules, all right, all wrong, and just gonna do whatever she darn well pleases. And of course that's not right. That's not a good thing. But upon further reflection, I think that that is actually not the takeaway from this. If you consider the circumstances, she'd grown up with this incredible magical power within her, and she had rules imposed upon her as to the use of that power, namely, don't use it, don't show it, don't display it. It's a horrible thing, which entirely went against her very nature. It was tantamount to putting her in a prison, and she hated it. She felt like it was a waste. She felt like she had all these false doctrines swirling around in her head. She felt like she was ashamed, she was dangerous, and she needed to hide what she was. It was no good. Until finally she goes berserko and unleashes and runs off to her ice palace. But I like to make a parallel between what happens in that movie and the subject matter of the song to the dangers of institutionalism, where we institutionalize what is right and wrong, and we set up these rigid rules defining what we're allowed to do, what we're not allowed to do, and mostly it consists of doing what you're told. Do what you're told, think what you're told, and say what you're told to say, and that's the way you're supposed to live your life according to these institutional rules and expectations. Of course, as I've talked about in previous videos, others have talked about that this is fundamentally antichrist. What we're supposed to do is follow the law of the Spirit and be super sensitive to what the voice of God within us is whispering to us and instructing us on and guiding us in what we should do. We should be going about using the gifts we've been given to do as much good as we can. To do good, to do that which is best, that which has the best value, the best benefit, the best outcome. And to not deny the Holy Spirit within us. It's interesting, when I was a missionary in Sweden back in 95 and 96, I had a companion who was on some pretty heavy doses of medication for depression. And when I got assigned to this elder, I was kind of told what was going on. He was having serious issues with depression and psychological issues. and but they thought that I could help him, which I did, because I am a pretty happy-go-lucky, bouncy kind of guy, and I was there to do the work and have fun. And so anyway, what I was getting at was, the rumor was that more than 50% of the missionaries in the Stockholm, Sweden mission back in 95, 96, more than half of the missionaries were on antidepressants. And so here we were, supposedly out there teaching the great plan of happiness. And more than half of us are on antidepressants. Something's wrong here. And I remember one time I was out tracting, my first area actually, and came to the door, and a lady answers and talked to us, and she said that she's not happy. She asked if we were happy, and at the time I was pretty miserable. My companion was not great, and I was not a happy camper. And I didn't know what to tell her, so we basically muttered something and left. But as it turns out, we do have at our fingertips the great plan of happiness, as contained in the Holy Scriptures, as contained in the doctrine of Christ. And we are all like light bulbs. And if we can connect with Christ and receive His light and truth and Holy Spirit flowing into us and flowing through us and illuminating us and letting our light shine, letting His light shine all around, that is the key to happiness. But you know what happens when we deny that light? What happens when we try to appease the demands of the institutions, the institutional rules, and go whoring after Babylon, go whoring after the institutions, and when we go whoring after sin? Suddenly, and especially for those who have the gospel, you become horribly conflicted, and you're going to be horribly unhappy. And I've experienced this. I've seen others that have experienced this. I think that this is the root cause in most cases of mental illness. People are deeply unhappy because of sin, because of the decisions they've made, and they've destroyed themselves. And they're meant to transmit the light and power and majesty and glory of God to everyone around them, and they're not fulfilling the measure of their existence. And of course they're very depressed about that, and I've been very depressed about that. That's something that I've really struggled with a lot. And so in this movie Let It Go, in this song Let It Go, she's pretty messed up, right? Because now she associates this idea of right and wrong with what she's been told is right and wrong, not what she's felt is right and wrong. So when she says no right, no wrong, no rules for me, she's actually not rejecting the light and truth of God or the commandments of God. What she's rejecting is institutionalism and institutional morality, which has been a prison for her. And so I think that's actually a beautiful message. And then of course her sister goes after her and helps her understand, and saves her through love, and through sacrifice. And I think that's an awesome movie. I love that movie. which is kind of weird. But that message is really important, and it continues to be a hard lesson to learn for me, especially as I in my family see my closest loved ones continually whoring after these institutions and rejecting truth, rejecting what's right and wrong, rejecting the facts. They don't even care about the facts. They just somehow or other rationalize that those facts don't make sense, they don't apply or whatever, and off they go doing whatever they're going to do. We got some folks coming here. And so, to be honest and frank, I've really struggled with depression and just being really discouraged because of the lack of response to me, or the negative response to what I've tried to share, and the messages and the warning voice within my own family. That's been extremely difficult for me. That's not an excuse for giving in any way to sin. And so I was watching a video from Adam Boyle he did a few days ago about the most important thing we can do and we should do every day. And he talks about every morning, the first thing you need to do is to be born again, and to be to reconnect with Christ, be infused with His Spirit, with His Holy Spirit. And that's the most important thing for each of us to do every day. Born again every day. And that's really struck me. I have to say I'm extremely impressed with Adam Boyle and his ministry. I feel like that guy's running circles around me. And I'm like, good somebody is, because I'm pathetic. So that's the message that I'd like to share, is that there is hope, and there is a way out, and there is joy and happiness to be found in and through the doctrine of Christ. And it's just like the light bulb analogy. You can have a light bulb, you can be a light bulb, but unless it's plugged in, it doesn't do you any good. We have to connect with Christ and have His Holy Spirit flowing into us, flowing through us, changing us. And this is a process, just like the ancient Israelites. Adam talked about the ancient Israelites who had manna that came down, and if they gathered too much up, more than they could use in a day, it went moldy and got filled with worms. It was gross. And so you have to go out and gather that hidden manna every day, every morning. Reconnect with Christ, recommit to Christ, and be filled with His power and holiness. And that's the most important thing to do every day, every morning, to do that. And to not be cast down, not be discouraged by what's going on in the lives of others, because God has a plan for everybody. And if we're discouraged about the choices others are making, okay, the best thing we can do is to make the right decisions ourselves and be filled with the light and power of the Holy Spirit, so that we can go out and make the difference that they need to be able to see and understand and to correct their lives. So that's what I wanted to share.